It's Space Ghost Coast to Coast, followed by Freakazoid on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's the Flintstones, followed by I Am Weasel on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Dudley Do Right, followed by the Flintstones on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Batman, followed by Animaniacs on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Batman, followed by Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? On Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's the Bugs and Daffy Show, followed by Batman on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Dexter's Laboratory, followed by Brack Presents The Brack Show starring Brack on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Scooby-Doo, followed by Johnny Bravo on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Scooby Mysteries, followed by a pup named Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Space Ghost Coast to Coast, followed by Toonheads on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's more Rocky and Bullwinkle, followed by the Flintstones on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Toonami Rising Sun, followed by Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? On Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Johnny Bravo, followed by Courage the Cowardly Dog on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Sheep in the Big City, right here on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Toonami on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Tom and Jerry on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Dexter's Laboratory on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's the Powerpuff Girls on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Ed, Ed, and Eddie on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Courage the Cowardly Dog on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Grim and Evil on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Baby Looney Tunes on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Jackie Chan on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Pokemon on Cartoon Network.